Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Doc on Dukascopy. All right, what do we got going on today? You can see it right there. 45. Oh, that's me. Okay. Ooh, let's kill that. Oh, it's a commercial. Where did that come from? Oh, there we go. Okay, there we are. Alrighty. All right, and we got Payman. Let's go. Let's do it. Step up right here. Hey, ya, over here, over here, over here. Step up right over here. One shot wins the prize. That's right. Let's get going. One win, one in wins the prize. Step up over here. Okay, there we go. All right, Payman. Let's see what we got. We got the dollar index right there. Step right up. Make the trade. Here we are over here. Buy or sell. All right. The carny is coming out in me. All right. What we have there is the dollar index on J4X, as you can see right there. You can see it on our beta platform right there. It is flirting, 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 flirting. It tried to get into the sell yesterday, and it did. And I think we have it over here too. Let's put it up on the other platforms. We have everywhere you turn, there's a platform. You can see Dukascopy was green yesterday, but trying to be red today. And over here, you can see it was red today and trying to go back to green. And then we go over to here, and again we go into the red today or yesterday, and it's trying to lift up today. So here ya, over here, step up, make the trade. Watch them trade. One in wins. All right. Let's get that going. Yeah, you got me fired up. It's like being in the trading pit. I was always crazy. So we have the dollar index. We're trapped in this, malaise or however you want to call it. We're trapped in a situation where, we're saying, okay, another Fed governor came out and said, we're kind of done raising. But we're not ready to cut yet. Of course not. They're not going to cut until they get towards the election. Then they're going to start cutting left and right. Anywhere's between, I would say, May and, June. Or not, I'm sorry, not June. May and July, maybe going into August. Anything to boost the market for the election. There was a headline this morning I saw where they said, the Fed is going to be irresponsible. In other words, they're going to be bad. They're not going to be good. And what they're going to do is they will do anything to motivate the economy to go in a plus direction. If nothing else, the stock markets to go in a plus direction. As a matter of fact, the headline said the Fed will do anything to not hurt the stock market. So in other words, they want that thing to be plus. And then, we can go over to Payman. And Payman says, hey, let's get going. Step right up over here, one in wins. And that's going to be the Federal Reserve. They're going to be the carny of the market. And they're going to be telling you over and over, you can win. Just step right up and buy, because we're going to be buying too. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. So, anyhow, that's where we are today. The dollar index is like an index of the responsibility of the government, I guess you could say, or let's say the Federal Reserve, not the government itself, but the Federal Reserve. It is the index or the indicator of where they are, and that is that the interest rates, when the interest rates drop, usually the dollar goes down in value against other pairs trades. But, do you think that all the bystanders on the boardwalk, at the carnival, want to be sitting there watching just one person put that ball in the basket and win? Oh, no, no, no. We saw in November and December, we saw that there were 5 central banks around the world painting the tape. They wanted to be winners too. They wanted to step right up over there and be a winner. And that's exactly what was going on with the market in November and December, is they wanted to pump it so that they could see their accounts be more plus. Remember, there's a lot of central banks now. They're actively involved in the markets every day of the week. and they want to have earnings. I mean, the idea is to make money. At least good investors like to make money. We're not really sure the way to view a decade, that's 10 years of zero interest rates and minus interest rates. It just showed the great fear of not getting their money back, that they were willing to put money into government bonds and pay the government money, pay the government interest. That's right. So you buy a bond from the government and you pay the government interest. The government does not give you interest. So, when we look at the overall view of the dollar index, we're looking at the little barometer trying to tell us the sanity and insanity of the marketplace. Hey, step up over here. One in wins. One in wins. That's what the Federal Reserve and all the central banks in the world are trying to tell you. And that is just throw in there. Get involved. Buy the stocks because you're going to be a winner. That's what they're trying to tell you. That's the insanity of it all. And so Payman has hit pay dirt. They've realized that it's a very odd situation we're in at the moment. And with the quantitative easing of the era, it's the era of the quantitative easing, and that's what it is, QE, and that gives the license to every central bank and the Federal Reserve to invest like they're investors, and they can print the money as much as they want. Where would you suggest? Good morning, Janos. How are you? I hope you got some good work done at the house. Where would you suggest someone to park money for the next couple of quarters? To be honest, I probably would go with the 30-70. I would think that 30% in stocks, 70% in bonds. I would say that would probably be the best way to go, because at this point you can get in the United States now, in the United States in particular, you can get 5%, 6%. And I would buy inflation, what they call, what do they call them? TIPS, Treasury inflation bonds. So in other words, if the inflation is at 5%, they will give you a couple of percentage points over that. And so mix the bonds up with TIPS, TIPs, Treasury inflation products. And so inflation wouldn't eat up all your bond, but it's a lot better getting 5% or 5.5%, and at the same time you get your money back because it's a central bank. They can print money to give you money, so there's no problem there. That would be part of it. Then I would say the last 30%, I would do a sprinkling of tax and energies and just a diversified stock portfolio. I would say that's probably about the best play, and be combined with that. And that would be, as you say. Where would you suggest someone to park money for the next couple of quarters? You wouldn't be at risk. You would make money. You may not make as much money, but then why do you need to take the risk to begin with? Exactly. So money markets, safe stocks, bonds. Yep, exactly. Like a personal emergency fund. Yes, exactly. Yeah, like I said, I think I would do a sprinkling of all of them. I would say that the large caps, more than the tech stocks, probably will be the better of the two this year, because they're what they're the staples. In other words, they're the things that people need. In other words, food stocks, energy companies like an Exxon or a British Petroleum or a Royal Dutch Shell. In other words, they're always going to be producing, and so the large caps. Yes, definitely like the large caps. Whereas not like Amazon, not the what I would call the significant seven is seven stocks, like Amazon and Google and Apple and who else is in there? Microsoft. I think I'm trying to think who else is also in there. Of the let me click on Magnificent Seven. Let's find that. Nevada, because of the chip side, that was in there. I think they might have. I don't think they had. They didn't consider Intel, uh, but Magnificent Seven. Let's see. There we are. All right, yeah, here we go. Magnificent Seven. So it's Apple and Google and Microsoft, or they call Alphabet, either one with the Google thing. Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta, and Tesla and Nevada. That was the Magnificent Seven. Do I think they're going to outperform the market? We're going to need what I really believe is going to happen is that we need the primaries to be over with so that we have the two existing players that are going to be the presidential candidate. I know Trump is going to be one. I'm not really sure who the Democrats are going to have. Right now it's Biden. But they're going to, as they've done over the last 4 years, they've done some really twisting and turning things, the Democrats. And so I'm not totally convinced that the ticket that's there right now could be there. I know that sounds awful strange. The idea that the sitting president will be pushed out by his own party in August at the Chicago convention, but I'm not really not surprised if it happens. Let's put it that way, because they want to win and have control more than they care about anything else. So stocks will represent that, and the barometer will be the dollar index, watching the dollar index go up and down. Will it be parked between, say, the 99 and 103 area for these months? I could see that easily be, parked in the 102.50 to, 99 area, back and forth. Again, the other central banks in the world are going to want a piece of the game. They want to step right up and play the game. One in wins. Step right up. One in wins the prize. And so I really think that that's out there to be had. Central banks are, they're not going to just walk away. They're going to stay inside the framework, I guess you could say. And so when you have like we had back in November, we had 5 central banks, including the Chinese People's what do they call that? People's Bank of China. They were in there participating. It was a combination of about $350 billion was plowed into the stock market and the gold market. The paint the tape, make it look good. So I would say that that's pretty much the way to go. Does that make sense to you? I'm going to go sip a cup of tea while you're telling me if it does or does not make any sense. I put my lid on the tea afterwards. And it's on a little not a burner, it's on a warming pad. So my tea stays warm. I like that. All right, so there it is right there. You can see the dollar index. And it's trying to figure out where it wants to go. You can see the fast stochastic, in this case here, is trading at, let's put the cheater glasses on to see it a little bit better, 55.7. Don't have to, that's good. And the slow is at 68. So we are seeing some weakness there. That's the fast stochastic is right here. And this is the slow. And it matches up relatively to our dots. And matter of fact, I saw, here's a like a advertisement for the next webinar. I understand that there's another webinar. The next webinar is going to be from, let me just put it up there and say it exactly too. The next webinar is going to be pivot points in an uptrend by by Dukascopy Academy. And so what that pivots are like the hanky ASCII bars that you see here. That's part of a pivot, but except for pivots take the numbers from yesterday and today combined together. The hinky ASCII bars you're seeing that I'm emphasizing on J4X is the same type of math, but only today's numbers. Okay, so they do an averaging and a squaring and all that other stuff. So, it sounds very interesting to watch the pivot points in uptrend. I think that looks kind of, Robin and I talk about the pivots. We've seen pivots. We've used pivots over the century. I guess you can say that. Over the last half century, we have used the pivots. I don't use it that much because it's a little time delayed than I like. But overall, it is a great, great tool, pivots. And so I saw that advertised through Dukascopy, and I thought that was really cool also. How you like that, Janos? Doing a commercial for the next webinar for Dukascopy. Let's see. Where do we go from there? From there, we'll go over to the euro. It was kind of curious. The euro, let's put it up on the screen. Right there. There it is right there. There's the euro. And a sell there for a bunch of days. You can see the fastest at 40, the slowest at 30. So, I mean, it's really in conflict right now, kind of trapped. We have the same kind of thing going on. We went into a sell yesterday here. I thought I had the line in there. I swore I put that line in there no more than an hour ago. I must have changed something. So there it is right there. And then now it's trying to flirt. Notice right there, it's through the zero line, turning up. We've got a green and a red at the moment. And it's trying to pierce its way back up. At the same time, the euro... Oh, no, that's the dollar index. No wonder I'm confused. That's the dollar index. Let's get over to there. There it is. Yeah, see, I knew I put that red line in there somewhere. Okay, so yesterday, the euro went into a buy. Right there. You can see the weekly's been in a buy for a while. And at the same time, you can see today it's trying to go into the sell again. It is confused. In other words, here we are trying to press into a sell, and we're in a weekly buy at the same time. So it's in that same state as we were showing you on J4X, and that is it doesn't know if it wants to go up or go down. It's kind of trapped in between. Let's see. I'm thinking how a British person would pronounce pivots. Now that's an interesting. No, pivots would be that. That would make sense. There's in English pivots. It's a you pivot to the right, you pivot to the left. It's like a movement. It's a description of movement. So something like Harry Potter having the main effort on it. Is that really Harry Potter? I got to put a 1 in there just to see. Let's see. Where is it at? Sign in. Oh, I'm not signed in either. Let's do that too. Okay, there we go. I got to see this. I got to see that. Did you really quote Harry Potter? I'm such a Harry Potter fan too, so that really blows my mind. It blows my mind. All right. And there, right there. Okay. So, yeah, you did say Harry Potter. How about that? Something like Harry Potter having the main effort on the TT. I love that. Like Malfoy says Potter. Oh, okay. That's an interesting thing. I'm not going to press that YouTube because I would get in trouble. You know how YouTube is. Next thing you know, Potter. Yeah. No, I think that that's. I don't think in English there's no problem to that. I guess how would you say it in Polish or something like that, or Latvia? How do you say pivot? Pivot. Well, you know what? Many a time I hear in other people speaking, that are speaking other languages in Hindu and so forth, and they're speaking, and the next thing you know, you hear English words. I hear it in Israel too. In Israel, you hear them speaking Hebrew, and the next thing you know, you hear 2 or 3 words that are English, because there are no. English is the most explanatory language on the planet. It's a very relatively new one too, but I mean it's very explanatory. It's very descriptive. So, that doesn't surprise me any. But it's just the way it is. So, people will actually alter pivot in a sense to describe the action itself. It's a verb. I would say it's an adjective, isn't it? I think it's an adjective. All right. Anyhow. So yes, the pivots are very good. a great tool, and I recommend everybody who's listening to us here to, tune into the Dukascopy pivot webinar, because pivots are a great tool. I can't say it any better than that. All right, let's see. So there's the euro, and you can see the euro there. You can see it on J4X, and unfortunately, Janos, my son is still. I got to go over and hang out with him to get him to get the API working right. I don't know, somehow or another, he has not connected the API to our platform, and he needs to do that, because I want our currencies to be fed by Dukascopy. So that's all we want to feed is the currencies with it. All right, this way people at Dukascopy can use the platform. In other words, and because you can trust the data. I mean, that's the whole idea, is to trust the data. So, all right, from there, where do we go from there? Over here, over there. Let's see, we go to the British pound, since you mentioned the British pound, and Harry Potter. Now, how about if we have not Malfoy saying Harry Potter, but how about we have, what was that, gobbling? Dope it. The one that died on the beach, that Harry Potter buried. I wonder how he would say it. How would he say pivot? All right, let's get the British pound up on the screen. Right there. And again, central banks are trapped. They need to make money. At the same time, they want to be part of the gang. It's a combination back and forth. It's a real dilemma with quantitative easing. It's taken the central banks across the planet, turned them into the buyers of last resort. That's what we used to refer to specialists and funds and so forth. They were the buyer of last resort. Not anymore. It is the central banks now that are the buyer of last resort. And there it is right there, the cable. It's been moving up for a bunch of days. Over here. Step up over here. Buy your cable. There it is right there. It's 3 days in the old buy there. Let's put that little green line in there. I knew I put it in there yesterday. How does it do that? All right, let me try to remember to hit the save. And you can see the weekly here. Oh, let's go back over again. You can see here the weekly. It's been in the weekly buy basically since the end of October, starting off in the beginning of November. Save workspace there. See, I was asked to Dobby. That's it, Dobby. Dobby. That's who. How would Dobby say pivot? Harry Potter. We need to use pivots when we're trading. All right. Let's go from there to, let's see, what do we got here? I was asked to look for an annual outlook for major pairs. That's an interesting point of view. Strangely, the cable dollar is the only one with a trend recovering. Yes, I know. We talked about that. And you know what the other one was? I've been really beating the drum for the Swiss. The Swiss saltine. Do they still call it the Swiss saltine? Or just the Swiss franc at this point? I remember when I was young, we used to call it the saltine when we did interbank trading. I was asked for an annual outlook for the major pairs. Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of the dollar Swiss pairs trade. I think that's been outperforming all the other pairs trades to start off with. Cable looks like number 2. It's looking much stronger. And then number 3 is obviously the euro. When you look at the yen, and we're just gonna go through the 6 major currencies on the planet. And obviously against the dollar, so we're not mentioning the dollar per se at the moment. We'll mention it at the end. And so you got the euro is number 1, you got the Japanese yen is number 2, you got the British pound who's number 3. Now I would not be that fast to grab the Japanese yen against the dollar. I find that to be having its issues. It does have its issues. There's a lot of noise. I was looking at the inflation numbers right before the webinar, literally minutes before the webinar in Japan. They were down the inflation was up like 1.7% again for November. And housing and communications and so forth, it was up pretty big. In other words, they're having, they're not growing. See, inflation is because you're not growing. It's a socialist thing. So every time we have inflation, it's because of the socialist policies here in the States. So that's my idea. But I would say number one out of the 6 currencies that make up the currency index, I think the Swiss is the best pair of them all against the dollar. And then the British pound is the second. I would say the euro is the third. And then it's a battle between the kroner and the Japanese yen. Did I say I didn't say the Canadian. Where is the Canadian in my head on that? I would say it goes Swiss, cable, euro. I guess you'd have to say Canadian, then yen, then kroner. Probably back and forth. Kroner might be in front of the yen even. The yen looks very dicey. It doesn't look like a very good pairs trade at the moment because of all the numbers coming out over there in Japan itself. Okay, how's that? Does that help out there, Giannis? I could do that again. It's Swiss, cable, euro, it's a battle between the kroner and the Canadian in my head. I would pick the kroner, then the Canadian, then the yen. I think that would be the best. That would be the 6. Okay. Yana says, the euro looks like it's going down. I think it's just trapped. You're talking about the second largest economy in the world, the European Union. And they want, there's no growth. There's socialism creeping in every direction all the time. And so any country that moves away from socialism does better. Any country that leans towards socialism does worse financially. So I think that's pretty much the way to look at it. Unfortunately, people get all nervous. Their hair goes up into the air. They get scared. Or they actually want to believe in rainbows and unicorns. And they want to believe that a form of socialism is the best. But it obviously is not. If it was, then they would not, take out the U.S. easily. So, let's see. There'd be a Soviet Union if it worked, or you wouldn't have a very angry China all the time. I mean, they would be able to pay their bills in China. They can't pay their bills. I read another thing. I can't find it now. Where Evergreen has an EV market. Would you believe that Evergreen was also investing in electric vehicles, and now that's collapsing? So, I mean, they can't pay their bills. What have they done with all those billions of dollars that they've gotten from investors? Are they just buying airplanes and bullets? I mean, they obviously are not pumping up the economy with businesses, that's for sure. All right, looks like it's going down. Let's see. So dollar yen is heading up. I don't know if it's heading up as much as it doesn't look like a growth thing. Because they have a lot of issues. Their inflation is still a problem, and they can't grow. The LDP, the political party, the LDP, that's been running Japan for since we nuked their hides. Basically since the war. After the war, they took over the LDP, and they've never given up power since. I don't think they've ever had an opposing party in Japan, and so they have a socialist. It's a Labor Party. Liberal Democrat Party, LDP, I believe that's what they call it. So I wouldn't be buying it that much. It's not the worst thing in the world compared to buying something in China. Hell yeah, buy anything in Japan versus buying in China, that's for sure. Let's see. Another outlier was dollar. I got to push a 1 into it so I can see. Is that CAD? We don't seem to be able to get rid of that heart. Maybe we could go 700. I could read through that or something like that. I don't know. So it was CAD. Okay, another outlier was dollar CAD trading sideways. I like the kroner more. I think the kroner is way more stable. Out of the 6 major currencies, I would put the yen at the bottom, the Canadian on top of that, and then the kroner. And then from the kroner, you go over to the euro, and from the euro, you go up to the British pound, and from the British pound, you go to the top, and that is the Swiss. Does that make any sense? Well, I'm going to take a sip of tea and wait to see if you say it makes any sense. All right, so from there, I guess what we can do is we can jump over to the number one out of all the 6 currencies that we'd pay attention to. That would be it. You know, the Australian, to some extent, but not really. I mean, they're definitely New Zealand and Australia are stable currencies. They're good currencies, and a lot of people like to do the swap with Australia because of the interest rate factor. So, no, makes sense. Can you look at what can I look at? What can I look at? I don't see it. I can see. You can see. We all can see. Gas commodity. You mean like for cars? Gas price and coal. You mean like, or natural gas? Sure, let's go over and take a look at it on J4X. Let's see. There is the American gas. We don't have a European. The only thing I can tell from the gas numbers is that the Spanish company. That's the only way I can spot gas in Europe. And you can see it's parked around the 26, 27 line, you know. 26.99 to 27. In this case here, it's 26.96 bid for at 27. I think the U.S. oil. Let's put it up on the screen here. Right there. Natural gas in the United States is at $2 and there's the March contract. It's been in a daily buy for 4 days and pretty much just bounced all over the place. It's been in a weekly buy for a full week, going on to a second week now. So this is the March contract. So I see that. Henry Hub. Yeah, that would be, I think this is Henry Hub. The NG that we're looking at right now. That's Henry Hub. Yeah. So, yeah, you guys are like snowed under now for what, 2 months? There's been snow on the ground in Europe, like something like 3/4 of Europe. I think it's like 70% of Europe has had snow on the ground now since late November or something like that. Is that right, Janos? You guys have had snow on the ground for that long? What I found kind of funny is when I started talking about on the webinar, I don't mean like funny haha, but odd, that when I showed the statistics that that natural gas imported from Russia was being resold out of Europe, which really makes no sense to me. Why are they reselling natural gas when you guys need it? You know, that would bring down the price, not throw it away. Snow is nothing. We had major freezing temperatures the last week. Yes, yeah, but that's not. You don't even want to know what I know in science about what's going to happen to Europe. You don't. I'm not even going to say it. It's that bad. I can tell you a story you don't want to know. That and Africa is going to have problems. Major weather problems. I'm talking major. So, but I try not to get involved in true mathematical science of the weather because a lot of people are into weird things. So it's a religion now, so it's really hard to communicate things. But yeah, just know, Janos, things are not going to be pretty. Get yourself a wood burning stove. Definitely get a wood burning stove. Get some wood. Put it to the side. Definitely. Cars don't start. Yeah. Temperatures are cold. And is that 30 degrees minus? Yeah. Yeah. I can tell you a story. I'll tell it to you privately, but I will not tell you on the broadcast because people would think it's insane what I'm going to tell you. I can just tell you this. It's going to get worse. That's for sure. I can tell you it's going to get worse. Not over the next months. I'm talking about over the next bunch of years it's going to get worse. And you're at the brunt of it. I know Europe usually is not, but it's going to be this time, unfortunately. All right. So, What else can we say about that? Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's why I said out of that 30% of the portfolio being in stocks, definitely own energy companies. Like I mentioned, the three. British Petroleum, Royal Dutch Shell, and who else did I mention? Exxon Mobil, and probably that little Spanish company that I talk about all the time. Probably want to buy that. That kind of leans into the natural gas market more, but yeah, definitely, definitely. What's the question mark for? The weather I note it's coming to Europe. It's not here yet, my friend. It's unfortunate, but it's not here yet. You're just seeing the beginning. So, let's see, where are we at this point? So there is the energies. We see that, and we've seen on the J4X. We're looking at that Spanish company at $26.95 bid, offered at $26.99. You were asking. Oh, stocks. Okay, good. Okay. That heart makes it hard. Yeah. Let's see, where are we at? We were just looking at. Did we get to the Swiss? I don't think we got to the Swiss yet. Let's get to the Swiss. Here's the number one pairs trade. I've been saying that for weeks now. I think I made that the headline one day, didn't I? Now, it went into the sell yesterday against the dollar, which means it was gaining against the dollar. And today it's perked and turned the corner again. Now it's trying to go right back into the buy. But it's down in the low 80s, so it's not exactly like the worst thing in the world. But that is the best currency pair at the moment as far as I can tell. And it's been proving our point really consistently. And we did a webinar even on it about 2 weeks ago, stating that fact. Let's see. Yeah, look through the titles. You'll see that their one is with the Swiss. Let's see. Go from the Swiss to the yen, which I think out of the 6 major currencies in the world, I think the yen is probably the worst at the moment. Unfortunately so. Like I said, I was watching the inflation numbers out of Tokyo this morning. I was like, ouch. Ouch. So then here you can see the yen trying to kind of get into the sell there. That's kind of nice. The weekly is trying to get back into the buy. I don't really want to see them get beat up like that. So, like the great experiment. I'm not happy to watch the Turkish lira go down the tubes. Literally go down the toilet. But it happens, and unfortunately, there's not much to be said. Now, I don't believe we're going to see like a 3.0 yen. It's under control because it's what the yen really is it's the largest swap in the world. They have a 20 trillion. Yeah, you ready for this? There's a $20 trillion or 20 trillion yen swap on 20 trillion. And that's a lot. That's a lot. It's a big number, 20 trillion. Not billion, not million. 20 trillion swap. So there's, that is what the pressure is on that currency. All right, from there we go over to the great experiment. There it is right there. It closed at another all-time high closing last night, and we're flirting with it again today. We'll see where they finally settle it. It's in a little daily buy there for a few days. Let's throw it up on J4X at the same time. J4X. Where is you? J4X. There it is right there. Nope, right there. The one above it. There it is right there. Euro Turkish lira. And it has that upwardly bias. It doesn't seem to want to stop. It's definitely pushing and pushing and pushing, and it doesn't know how not to push. It just keeps on pushing in that direction, and that is what that is. So. What else can we say about any of that? I guess that's about it on that. Turkish lira. Unfortunately, closing at another all-time high. Every time you turn around, they find a way to close at another all-time high. It just doesn't even stop. It's constantly on that same. Oh, there goes the headphone set. Oops, sorry about that. Get that headphone set back on. The chair was running over something. What the hell is it running over? Oh, there it is. I see what it's doing. Okay. I have one of those modern chairs in here. And then it didn't want to swivel in every direction all of a sudden. I had a jacket on the back of it and it got trapped. All right. So, by the way, okay, so the first two are European. Yep. First three, really. I mean, we do look at Britain as part of Europe on some level. Just location, location, location. You mentioned Royal Dutch Shell and British Pound and Exxon. Yep, exactly. The first two are European. Why Exxon and not Chevron? Chevron's good too. You can use Chevron, Exxon. The contracts, both of them have good, solid contracts. Exxon has the old Mobil in it. And Chevron used to be part of that whole system too. At the same time, it split off from them. For example, the U.S. I myself, you know what I like a lot? I like Conoco. Conoco's a good one. Or Phillips 66 now. Phillips 66 owns Conoco. And that's a goodie too. By the way, since Ducascapi also pays dividends, one could hold them. Yeah, because of the brokerage situation too. You know, I mean, people are going to be trading. They're going to be buying and selling assets. I mean, it's you know, this particular era now, banks and brokerage houses are depending on the management skill. I mean, you know, we have like a Citibank in the United States is just, you know, death warmed over, and everybody wants to know why the stock can't get going. They won't admit to the fact that they went bankrupt with the rest of the world, and they're just a name only now. Just like Merrill Lynch is a name only. Only thing is, when you try to buy Merrill Lynch, or you know Lloyd's of London, they're owned by the central banks, or like Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank owned by basically the Federal Republic's central bank, you know, the German central bank. And that's why but they do have it as a stock. It's the same thing. Deutsche Bank and Citibank are in just as bad a shape, you know, just ugly, in bad shape, can't grow. They're trying to shrink them down, trying to get rid of their swaps. They have ugly swaps on. They had, you know, I can say, you know, what was it? You know, I said earlier that Japan has a 20 trillion, I think it's a $20 trillion, not yen, $20 trillion really swap on, but it's got the backing of the government. Now, Deutsche Bank and Citibank, both of those major banks, had about what did they have? 70 trillion, something like that, in swaps. Both of them. Deutsche Bank had something like 2 trillion more than Citi. So in other words, it might have been like 68 trillion swaps on in Citibank, and something like 71 trillion in Deutsche Bank. Yeah, trillion. The banks had that big of a position. So when the financial system in the world collapsed back in 2008, you know, it pulled them down. You know, I mean, the collapse came as Mr. Obama was winning the election. The financial markets rolled right over and the world collapsed. So they don't want to talk about that. And you won't get that. And on Ducascapi, I'm one of the only people who will talk about it. Not on Ducascapi per se, just the idea that I'm the only person talking about it on the financial store, what do you call this, webinars and so forth. Most people don't talk about the reality. They hide it. And so, I mean, if you're going to buy a stock, you would buy JP Morgan Chase. But then you're doing a currency situation at the same time. So, I mean, you don't buy Deutsche Bank. Let me think. Who is the strongest European bank at the moment? I'm trying to think who that could be. I really don't pay attention to the European banks because they don't grow. I mean, there's no growth over there. So you want to invest in companies where there's growth. Now, British Petroleum and Royal Dutch Shell is a global corporation. So even if their own home countries don't let them grow, they grow outside from international investments. Selling across the world. So. I mean, Dukascopy would make sense also. You can buy Dukascopy if it's backed by Swiss bank, which is much more solid. And you guys remember when the Swiss was broken away from the link to the euro back in 15, was it 14 or 15, right around there, 2014? Here, I think we can show it up on the. Let's go up on the chart here. Dukascopy survived. I think you guys only lost $30 million. I think it was very low numbers from the whole thing, It's when it goes into the billions you go out of business. But let me see what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the Swiss up there. And we're going to look at the Swiss for a second. We'll put it into a weekly pattern too. Where is the Swiss? Dollar Swiss, right there. All right, now let's put the weekly up there. Or let's do the monthly even. I'll put the monthly up there. And, Dukascopy did all right. Let's see. There's 2002. What was it? 2015, was it? I think that's it right there. See it? From there down to there. It was January, basically, of 2015. Where the currency in one day went from, I wonder if we can get this now back into the weekly. Let's see if it smooths it out. There's weekly. Let's see. January 15. I think we're going to be able to see it. Yeah, there it is. And that is a weekly where the currency went from 102 down to 79. Is that 79 or 72? I think that was 72. And, because of that. And Dukascopy only lost $30 million with that slam. So that says a lot. When you see a bank or a brokerage survive things like that, it's being managed well. So, and that's a perfect example. That's not a distortion, as you can see, as we widen out the weekly there. You can see, it got slammed like that. Like a week later, the low was 84. Then it started to climb back up. We went right back into the weekly buy, I believe, at the end of that week. Remember, I was doing the webinar here. There's YouTube's out there somewhere with me on it. We went into the weekly buy, and sure enough, after about 10 weeks, it got back up into that area again and straightened out. And I kind of want to say that you guys lost only $30 million out of all that. Well, that right there is evidence of how good Dukascopy is. That's not, when you have a drop like that, normally people go out of business, and brokers and some banks went out of business on that. But you guys didn't. So that justifies saying, yeah, Dukascopy would be a solid place to invest because of that. And that's just the way I read it. And if you had gone out of business, obviously I wouldn't be here right now, and that would have been the truth of it all. That it was managed poorly. So, yep. You like that one, Janos? I must be in a really interesting angle today. I'm recommending the pivots solely because I love pivots. That's going to be a webinar on Dukascopy. I'm recommending everybody to pay attention to that. Yep, exactly. Oh, there it is. We have to hold around 40 million in Swiss bonds as reserve. That's fine. I like Swiss. Me likey Swiss. He's like Dobby. Me likey, like in Harry Potter. All right. So from there, where do we go from there? Let's get back into the daily. Wonder if we can see the daily on that. That was January of. I don't know. Let's see if I can go back all the way to there. So let's see. We'll just keep on pushing over and see. That would be fun to be able to see the daily of that. There it is, right there. There's the daily. So it was trading at the day before. It was trading around 102, 1.02, and the next day, on Monday, it's trading at 72. And Dukascopy sailed through that like a great yachtsman. There you go. Yeah, it has to be. I think that's brilliant too. We had to cut off the ruble and reduce leverage on Turkish lira due to reasons. Yeah, see, you guys are well managed. That's why I'm very happy to be with you. I think that's the crutch of the matter, really. You're well managed. So, I mean, but look, Bear Stearns is gone. Citibank is dead. The Walking Dead. It's like a zombie, same as Deutsche Bank. They're zombies. Oh yeah, yeah, I saw that. Yep, I did. I saw that force de jour, which means not to have to deliver. Yep. Yeah, and look at it. Remember, I went into a weekly buy literally a week afterwards. I went into a weekly buy right in here. I remember that. I remember, people saying, "What do you do with the Swiss?" I said, "Buy it, buy it." It's in a weekly buy after that calamity. I think it went into a daily buy a day later. A day later, we went back into a daily buy. I mean, after getting slammed down to 72, you couldn't reach fast enough to buy that stuff. Yeah, it was the unpegging against the euro, exactly. So, that sounds all good to me. What should we use as a title today? It's been a, it's been a, I like doing webinars more like this where we talk about, a real solid. I mean, I go through every day because no one's talking to me at times, and so I go through this whole system and and I look at all the products and so forth, and I bet we have repeats. People like to watch that, but I would rather talk about the reality of what I'm willing to talk about compared to what the mainstream media is willing to talk about. I mean, that's the disappointment of it all, is that we just don't get enough information that's legitimate anymore. That's the problem. That is the problem. So, where do we go from here? I guess that's about it. So I think I'd like to come up with a title. What do we call today? Um, Not misinformation, but truth. How about that? Real financial news, not misinformation. Yeah, solid, especially the Harry Potter talk. Should we add Harry Potter? We'll get in trouble if we use Harry Potter in the webinar title, won't we? How about the magic of, let's see, the truth, real market data. No, I want to throw something in there about that. If Harry Potter was a trader, how about that? Harry Potter and pivot trading. Yes, all right, that's where we're going. I like it. I like it. I'll put that in there. It does. Harry Potter and pivot points. How about if we reverse it? Pivot points and Harry Potter. This way, you have traders will look at it and go, "Wow." I don't know. What do you think? Which one will we not get in trouble with YouTube? Because we know that YouTube will be nasty when given a chance. Not nasty, but I mean they protect. They're very strong at protecting copyright. So it's not nasty. It's just very protective. So, all right. Well, that's what we're going to go with then. We'll go with Harry Potter. Do we get in trouble by saying Harry Potter on a title from YouTube? What do you think? How about pivot points like Harry Potter? How about pivot points work like Harry Potter? It's an adjective. How's that? I'm putting one up there now. See what this looks like if you want to go with that. They really work like Dobby. Just give them a sock. How's that? All right. Yeah. I'll tell you, the Swiss really, we've identified that weeks ago how strong it is. Oh, two stocks. What do you mean two stocks? What two stocks did you? I'll put it up there. Put them. Oh, CHW. You want to see CHW? Let's put CHW in there. Okay. Let's see where we go. Let's close that. Close. Yes. And then let's go to CHW. What's the other stock? There's your there's that NIO still. See what that's doing. It's still there. It's in the daily sell for a couple of days, it looks like. And it's fallen out of the weekly buy. It's trying to go into a weekly sell this week. Went into the buy here down in the mid sevens and ran up to almost to 10. All right, now let's put CHW in there. Oh, SoFi. Okay. Is that the symbol too? SOFI? Well, let's do SoFi first. No, let's try CHW. There's CHW. Here it comes, CHW. Oh, okay, here it comes. CHW. There's NASDAQ. And while I'm doing this, why don't you look up the symbol for SoFi? And I'll go hunt that down. I thought I just did that. Okay, close. There it is right there. $5 stock, okay. CHW. Let me just double check that again. Good, I got both in there. All right, now let's widen the weekly. That's interesting. It went into the weekly buy back in here, didn't it? Right around there. Did it go in the buy there? Not there. It was this week right here. So it went into the buy at the 560 area. And what did it do? It traded to 591. Really tight market. And then we could move all these things over here. There's a buy. There's a sell. Is that a sell? That's a sell right there. Then I put that buy in there like there. It's a pretty tight market in this product. Let's widen this out a little bit more so you can appreciate it, but it's still tight. Look at that. What is this? That's a gas line. That's the gas 3.5 too. You know what? The fast looks so much better. Look at that weekly on the fast because it's so tight a market. The beta is low. And it pushed into a sell last week. And now it's trying to push back into the buy again this week. And see how it went into the weekly buy here with the fast. I don't know. It's not a. You can see there. It went into the sell up in here in the almost the $6 area. Traded all the way down to the, what is that? That is a $5 area. So. And what's the symbol for SoFi? 950 to 10. Is that so? Is CHW SoFi? Let me look it up here. I'll find it. SoFi, SoFi, SoFi. Right there. Was it SOFI, right? Yeah, SoFi. Oh, that's the symbol of it too. SOFI. Okay, cool. Let's put that in there. It's taking a little work for it to kick out. Let's see what's going on here. Let me just double check it. Move that down. Format instrument. Let's move that out of the way. And here, this will do it better, I think. I can get away with punching it in on this system, but it's better not to. Let's see. There it is right there. Let's try that. Okay. Now close. And then stock. Oh, that's it. Put it in there. I'm not sure why it's not updating it. Huh. Well, we'll go after it again tomorrow. How's that? But at least you saw CHW. Yeah, so let's see if we can do this. Let's go back to it down at the bottom and put in CHW again and see if we can go in slowly to SoFi. So right there. CHW, like that. You know what? Maybe I'll put it into the beta. See if it'll come up on the beta. It's being antsy now. Doesn't seem to want to. Neither of them want to do it. See, now I'm trying to get back to see. You know, it's all freaked out. Let's just go like this. I'm going to delete that like that, and we'll just go after it again tomorrow. All right. I will catch you tomorrow, and I'll have it filled in, and then I'll put it up on the beta too, because the beta will probably spit it out also with the algo. Alrighty, I will talk to you tomorrow. This is Doc from North America saying Harry Potter. Alright, happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading.